What's going on, everybody? David here, back with another video. So we're going to take a look and listen to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC. She did an Instagram live a couple of days ago, which is interesting. She's doing Instagram. I give her credit for getting out there and doing things. I know she plays video games. I don't know if it's on Twitch or if it's on YouTube, what have you. But she is making herself available to a new audience, I guess you could say. Not a lot of people on Instagram are talking about politics, but she decided to do a live on Instagram. So we're going to listen to it because she talks about the stimulus package and stimulus checks. Now, you have AOC, you have Bernie Sanders, and you have Josh Hawley. They're probably the most vocal right now when it comes to another round of stimulus checks. Believe it or not, we only have 3 people that are really vocal about it, when just a month ago, every politician that you asked was open to another round of stimulus checks. But now, all of a sudden, we have very few politicians that are willing to say, yes, we're for another round of stimulus checks. So I want to take a look and a listen to this video. It was pretty good. I mean, she did a pretty good job kind of outlining and letting us know exactly where the process is. Now, this is her point of view, but we're at least getting a point of view. We have a lot of politicians out there not giving us anything. We don't even know details of the $908 billion proposal. We don't know the details yet. We don't know the details of the $916 billion proposal. We don't know the language when it comes to that. So we're going to take a look at this video. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please hit the like button. It does help with the YouTube algorithm. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that little bell notification. That way you'll get notified anytime we put out a video. Okay, before I start the video, I will cut most of the video out. She talked for about 20 minutes, so I'm not going to show you all that. I'll show you probably about 7 or 8 minutes of it, and then we'll talk about it on the other end. So let's go ahead and get started.
And now what's going on is now we have this tiny increase. So we went from that $600 help. The current state of the package that's being negotiated is cut in half. So instead of $600 in unemployment, they're now looking at $300 in unemployment and no stimulus check. Is that enough? Is that enough for you? Is that enough for your friends? Is that enough for your family? Is that enough for the people that you know who are struggling right now? $300 UI and no check? Is that enough? I don't think so. I don't think that's enough. Not only that, but it's also as though Mitch McConnell and all of these folks aren't taking any responsibility for the fact that they allowed unemployment to expire in August. They're not taking any responsibility for the fact that they messed up, that they hurt people back in August. And so when those unemployment protections expired in August, you then had people who were able to, with that little bit of help, able to make their rent, able to, buy some groceries, able to help their kids. When that expired in August, now you have the clock ticking because there's no help in September, October, November. And by the way, that was at the beginning of August too. November and now December, 4 months later. And so is it any surprise at all that people are behind 4 months on rent and that is completely normal? It's not normal, but it is very common, I should say, that people are 4-5 months behind plus on rent. Oh, and by the way, if you were experiencing issues with unemployment before the pandemic, or if you were struggling with your rent before the pandemic, we're acting as though you're in a different situation, right? As though you're not in this boat with us, as though if you were struggling with your bills before the pandemic started, that the pandemic doesn't affect you at all, right? That you are like responsible for this, which is also wrong, which is also completely wrong and false. And the fact that so many people are disqualified from help because they were struggling shortly before the pandemic started or struggling before the pandemic started is just a complete rejection of reality. We are all enduring and all weathering this one way or another, with some people weathering it much, much harder than other people are weathering it. And so we really need to make sure that we get stimulus checks in. So the bad news is that the current package does not have stimulus checks. The good news is that we are starting to build bipartisan support for stimulus checks. So what that means is that while there are a whole lot of Republicans that are saying no on checks and UI, oh, and by the way, the White House, we have the Secretary of the Treasury, Trump's Treasury Secretary, Steven Mnuchin. Now, when they see all of this pushback with people needing checks, now what their new proposals is saying, you can get checks or UI, which does not help the situation. We should not erase unemployment so that people could get checks, and we should not erase checks so that people get unemployment, which, by the way, the unemployment package that they're already proposing is already too little. But no matter, we need to make sure that even if we take this deal, right? Because I'm actually like not this, I know Fox News, and not even just Fox News, like plenty of other Democrats think I'm like this fire and brimstone, like my way or the highway, like blah, blah, blah kind of person. But the fact of the matter is I recognize that we need help, and you all need help. And I will do whatever it takes in order to make sure that you all get the help that you need, get the money that you need, but also aren't sent in and made so vulnerable at your job that you get COVID and then have no recourse against your employer, right? Because that trade-off's not worth it. And so, what we're able to do is say, okay, listen, the $300 is not enough, but if that's as high as Trump is going to go, if $300 in unemployment is the absolute highest that Republicans are going to go, fine. Take this package, let's assess it, but we need to add stimulus checks into it. And so the current state of play is that we've got this package. It's got some state and local funding, not enough. It's got unemployment assistance, not enough, but more. Not enough, but still something. In order for this to, I think, push through is with no funny business, no fine print, no taking stuff away in order to get people's relief, is that you just add the stimulus checks in. And so I support this, but also we're also seeing some movement in the Senate, where Republican Senator Josh Hawley is in support of it. And these are people that we never agree with, pretty much polar opposite on almost everything. But both he and Bernie Sanders have introduced an amendment, and we're speaking on the floor of the Senate to add stimulus checks. And so that's the state of play of things right now. But the bottleneck is Mitch McConnell. The bottleneck is Mitch McConnell. And what we're also seeing is Steven Mnuchin with this proposal of exchanging one UI for another. And I never see this kind of austerity when it comes to Wall Street bailouts. I never see this kind of austerity when it comes to things that the absolute wealthiest people in our society demand. We only see this austerity. We don't even see this austerity mindset for the military, by the way. We are voting right now and have voted this year in committees and on the floor in advancing a $740 billion defense bill. Republicans have no problem with a $740 billion defense bill. Wave that baby through, but COVID checks? Let's rein it back. Unemployment? No. So this really isn't about fiscal responsibility at all. It's just not. It's about who's willing and who has the stomach to let people starve because they aren't affected, have never been hungry. I have no idea. But the very fact that this is even partisan is sad. And we have to really make sure, stimulus checks, it shouldn't be a Democratic thing, and it shouldn't be a Republican thing. It should be a pandemic thing. It should be a national disaster thing.
Okay, so that was AOC, and she said some pretty interesting things there. So we're going to talk about a few of the things that she talked about. Now, as far as the politicians and how they see it's either going to be enhanced unemployment or it's going to be stimulus checks. And that's really unfortunate because they were both in the package just a month ago. And now all of a sudden now it's take one or the other. And so that's really, really a sad situation. And that's going to hurt a lot of people because some of these people who are receiving enhanced unemployment also need to receive stimulus checks. And some of the people who aren't receiving enhanced unemployment would love to have stimulus checks and need them right now because we're in a bad situation. And so it's really sad. It's very, very sad to see that you now have politicians that are kind of playing that game. Well, you're gonna get either the enhanced unemployment or you're gonna get stimulus checks, but you're not gonna get both. Also, something else that was interesting, and I didn't play the full video of AOC. And if you want to catch the full video, I'll post a link in the description. But she also talked about some Republican politicians might be open to stimulus checks, but just because they're open doesn't mean they're going to vote for it unless they get something in return. And so now you have politicians that are looking at this as a bargaining tool. The fact that people are suffering and need a stimulus check, they're going to use that as a bargaining tool to get what they want. So that's another thing that's really, really sad about this whole situation. But when you look at just the overall climate of everything that's going on, this is a mess. This is government that just is not functioning properly. And the saddest part about this whole situation is it's working for the politicians. It's working for them. We just saw Mitch McConnell get reelected, and he is one of the roadblocks that we're talking about. We just saw him get reelected. And he is not willing to move forward with stimulus checks at this point. Doesn't want to do another stimulus package, doesn't really want to do another stimulus package. The only reason I think he's pushing to do one now is because he knows Joe Biden's going to be coming into office. So if he can get a little one done now, then he's not going to have to worry about another stimulus package because he can just keep it from happening. If he remains the leader of the Senate, he can keep it from happening, and he'll save a little bit of face because he at least got one done before Joe Biden came into office. So the fact that it's working for these politicians where they don't have to do anything and still get reelected, they're going to continue doing the same thing. It's not until people start holding these politicians accountable that's when things will change. That's when these politicians are going to be jumping on board to really try to help the American people and not focus on big corporations. They're going to be focusing on the people. But if it works, if Mitch McConnell can get reelected, and if we see Mitch McConnell continuing to be the leader of the Senate, guess what? There's nothing lost there. And he's going to be even more emboldened. He's not going to want to do anything. So especially if we see a situation in Georgia where those seats either get split or if Republicans win both those seats and Mitch McConnell continues to be the leader of the Senate, he's really not going to do anything at that point. So we can only hope that Georgia will go blue. That's the only real hope that we have as far as moving forward with another stimulus package, something of substance. And I don't really know what's going to happen next week, but we still have politicians arguing about the same points. Liability protection, state and local funding. They're still arguing about the same thing. They've been arguing about this for 7 months. I don't see them resolving it in 1 week. So we're probably going to be looking at something happening next year, not next week. That's just my opinion. And if we do get something next week, it's not going to be worth much of anything for most people. So we'll have to see where this all goes. But at this point right now, this is what we're looking at. We have Mitch McConnell there, still not wanting to do anything. I just wanted to show you AOC so you can kind of get an idea of what she's talking about. And she did say, and we know that we have some support. We have some support from Republicans. We have at least one Republican, Josh Hawley, that's saying, yes, we need stimulus checks. And he's willing to fight for stimulus checks next week. We have Bernie Sanders, also a senator, willing to fight for stimulus checks next week. So we'll see if they can tie that to something and get that passed. Up or down vote is what they're asking for. we'll see how far they can go with that next week. So that's all I have for you guys today, but I want to know what you guys think about AOC's Instagram video. Let me know down below. Also, let me know what you think about this whole state of play. What do you think about what's going on? Let me know down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.